A new Montana State University political poll shows a neck-and-neck race for the U.S. Senate seat held by Steve Daines of Bozeman. Coming up, what the poll's author says it means.
4 people flew from Florida to Bozeman for one reason, and that reason landed them in police custody. I'm Annie Johnson, and I'll have the full story coming up.
Bars and restaurants in Butte are now opening for dine-in customers, but they face some challenges in these Phase 1 restrictions.
We're back here on Montana This Morning. Caitlin Corbett, Chet Lehman, and Matt Elwell. It's Taco Tuesday. It's Cinco de Mayo. It's Lynn Lehman's birthday. It's a very busy day today, and it's a little bit chilly out there to start.
You nailed it. You don't need me here. Yeah. No, you're exactly.
I'll just keep going.
That's right. Temperatures this morning are a little chilly. You want to wear those lighter coats or a heavier jacket early on. Temperatures in West Yellowstone at 27, 25 in Wise River, 25 in Butte. We're sitting at 31 in Belgrade. Temperatures by the afternoon should be into the 60s, and it's going to be a beautiful day for this Tuesday, and it looks like our temperatures will stay fairly mild even into tomorrow, but not without a chance of rain and snow. We'll break it all down for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. The U.S. Senate race between Governor Steve Bullock and Republican incumbent Steve Daines is certainly one of the top Senate contests in the country, and it's expected to be pretty competitive.
Yeah, now a new poll from Montana State University shows that's precisely the case, and has Bullock actually leading Senator Daines. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison tells us more about the poll and the results.
The online poll conducted late last month asked registered Montana voters who they'd choose in Montana's U.S. Senate race if the election were held now. 46% said they would vote for Bullock, a Democrat, and 39% said Daines. 7% said they're undecided, and 6% said they'd vote for someone else. The poll also showed that 70% of Montanans approve of the job that Bullock is doing in response to the coronavirus pandemic. It asked the same question about Senator Daines' response, and just 48% said they approve, but 28% said they don't know. Montana State University political scientist David Parker told MTN News he's not surprised by the results, given the huge amount of publicity Bullock has received during the COVID-19 pandemic. But he notes that Bullock's lead is still within the poll's 3.6% plus or minus margin of error.
I think it's certainly reasonable to assume that the race is probably within the margin of error and too close to call. So yes, while we show a lead, again, it's within the margin of error. So I would say, yeah, this is a competitive Senate race, and I think our poll demonstrates that.
Still, he says the poll is worrisome for Senator Daines and good news for Bullock.
It just demonstrates the information advantage that executives have in times of crisis. So we got an information advantage. People like the job that Bullock is doing. He was already pretty popular. And then let's add the final piece of the equation. Steve Daines has been on TV since early March with television advertisements. Do you know how much Steve Bullock has spent on TV? 0. So that certainly should be a cause for concern.
The poll also asked how Montana voters felt about President Trump and the presidential election. 53% said they approve of how the president is handling the COVID-19 pandemic. But in the fall presidential matchup against Democrat Joe Biden, 45.3% of Montanans said they would vote for the president, and 39.7% said they'd choose Biden, a difference of just 5.6 percentage points. Parker says that probably means Montanans are more open in 2020 to considering someone else besides Trump than in 2016. But that the president remains in good political position in the Big Sky state.
Does this mean that I think Montana's suddenly going to go Democratic in 2020? I don't. Yes, the race is within the margin of error, but if I were still laying down money in Vegas, I'd put money on Donald Trump winning Montana.
And one last thing to mention. It's only May. We have a political eternity until the November election and an unprecedented national crisis still unfolding. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now you can see the entirety of the MSU poll by visiting our websites.
Well, 4 people appeared in Gallatin County Justice Court yesterday after they were arrested in Bozeman Friday for felony charges after a series of car break-ins and other criminal activity. MTN's Annie Johnson has the story.
4 people in police custody after what officials are calling felony laying after a series of car break-ins and other thefts that started in Florida and ended up here in Bozeman.
They'd already booked reservations in Billings at an Airbnb, so after they were done with this area, They were en route to Billings to conduct a crime spree there.
Elmer Edison, Xavier Taylor, Joshua Blair, and Andrea Monroe all made an appearance in court Monday morning after they were arrested by Bozeman police last Friday at an Airbnb home they were staying at.
These vehicle break-ins and thefts started last week, primarily at trailheads within the county, local parks within the city of Bozeman.
Unoccupied vehicles in public places, and it didn't matter if the car was locked or unlocked.
And primarily what we were seeing is unlocked vehicles were being entered and property was being taken, such as driver's licenses, checkbooks, financial instruments. And the vehicles that were locked, unfortunately, a lot of those, their windows were broken out.
Sergeant Swanson says these 4 people were identified after a series of tips and sightings from witnesses.
Very unusual for law enforcement to be able to intercept the entire crew, but they were staying at an Airbnb. They had license plates, they had wigs, they had items from the stolen vehicles.
Bond was set at $500,000 for each person, which came as a surprise to a couple of them.
Bond is set to $500,000 due to the circumstances of what's going on in the world right now.
Sir, I have a baby on the way. Sir.
All 4 co-defendants will have their preliminary hearing on May 22nd. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Shifting gears a bit here at 6:36, the day finally arrived yesterday. You can now sit down in a restaurant again. MTN's John Miller was at one of the local establishments that opened. Take a look at plans to keep customers safe and happy.
Many restaurants are opening today under Governor Bullock's Phase 1 directive. One of those is Mountains Walking Brewery.
I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how this all plays out, and to see people in here again will be kind of weird because it's been a little while.
The restaurant is doing what it can to stay clean, with workers having to wear masks at all times and keeping customers socially distanced.
Well, the tables set all far apart, reservations only, constant cleaning, sanitization.
Even though it's an exciting day, Doe's remains cautious.
As a business owner, I try to be on the careful side and the cautious side, so to make sure that people are safe here.
He does know that not everyone will be open to coming back into restaurants right away, but at least it'll be the start of returning to normal.
To give people a chance to come back and feel a little bit of normal. A lot of our regulars have been asking me about, hey, when can we come in? And they're like, yeah, I can't wait till you're open, but oh, you can't sit at the bar, and stuff like that.
It will be nice, however, to see the familiar faces of customers once again.
It will be really fun to see people walk through those doors again and have a seat.
In Bozeman, John Miller, MTN News.
That again was in Bozeman. In Butte, customers trickled into some uptown restaurants yesterday. For the first day, the establishments could reopen. MTN's John Amy reports as part of the governor's phased-in approach to slowly reopening dining activity, restaurants and bars across the Treasure State.
Many restaurants and bars around Butte were eager to reopen for dine-in customers Monday, as some restrictions have been lifted since the coronavirus outbreak.
We have done everything we possibly can to make sure that it's safe.
These were the first customers to lunch at Meadows Sports Bar and Grill since dine-in was ended 7 weeks ago.
I just miss going out and seeing everybody just at the bars and everything like that. It's good to have everything starting to open back up.
Staff and employees also missed having customers.
When you don't have the laughing and the smiles and the camaraderie within the different tables and things like that, it's depressing.
Several restaurants weathered the shutdown by doing only takeout and delivery orders.
We can get by on the food sales, but we really need to get back to regular business in order to pay all the additional things that, besides rent and utilities. Right now, that's what we're covering.
One of the unique things about eating here at the M&M is the social aspect, being able to belly up to the bar and watch them cook your food. Well, under Phase 1 restrictions, you can't do that right now.
How do you take a social environment like a bar and a restaurant and make it antisocial?
We've got to have some people in here. I mean, it's just, bodies and seats. That's what pays the bills.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Another aspect, some restaurant owners say another challenge will be hiring more staff as businesses slowly pick up. So we're just underway in how that's going to go. It will be a slow process, I'm sure, for all of us.
It absolutely will, but it is good to see some of these businesses opening once again. And I know some still, even though they could open yesterday, are kind of still holding off to see how things go and then opening down the road a little bit further.
Yeah, it's going to be a slow one, a marathon. It's not a sprint, that's for sure.
Exactly. We're going to take a break now in Montana this morning, but up next, nearly a third of Americans say COVID-19 has them ready to move away from cities. Where they want to go is coming up next, but here's what's ahead on CBS This Morning at 7.
Good morning to you ahead on CBS This Morning. Dr. Tara Narula joins us with what doctors hope to learn from a study on how coronavirus is affecting your children. Also, the cruise ship industry is looking to set sail again this summer. Is it too soon for a business that has had its share of high-profile coronavirus outbreaks? Plus, the secrets to breaking the bad habits we've developed in these times of social isolation. We picked up a few, and stitching the nation together one mask at a time. See how everybody from the kids to large companies are creating protective face coverings. We'll see you 7 o'clock on the dot.